everybody. Welcome back to another episode of WCU Athletics Chalk Talk. I am your host, Jim Zulke. I'm the Sports Information Director at Westchester University, and I am joined today by the softball coach, Diane Loki, and two members of her team, Jen Hanshaw and Bree Garber. Ladies, how are you doing today?
Great. Good.
WCU Athletics Chalk Talk is brought to you by Citadel. And so, Coach Loki, if you could just kind of give everybody a little bit of an update on where the softball team stands, certainly in this challenging time of the pandemic. You're in what they call the virtual CARA, which is accountable athletic related activities. But just kind of give people an update on how you're trying to stay in touch with your girls and keep them on the path of getting ready for the spring season.
Okay, thanks for having us. So we're trying to keep our fall as normal as possible, even though we're all virtually spread out throughout Westchester and New Jersey and Delaware. So just trying to keep it as normal as possible. We work out 3 mornings a week, and those are my favorite because everybody's on those Zooms. Their busy lives don't come into play yet. So we see everybody every Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning for a quick workout. And then we just have some defensive skill sessions 2 days a week per position, and then just doing our normal our normal activities. Jen and Bree are captains for the 2021 season. So just trying to stay in touch with them and keep them to try to keep this fall as normal as possible.
It must be really difficult to do that. And I know maybe the girls could touch on this kind of being what they call like Zoom fatigue or zoomed out. How difficult is it to try to keep everybody kind of motivated to keep moving and keep working?
Well, I think it's just like we're really accountable. Like we keep each other accountable and like our roommates and like our teammates. It's just with the Zoom fatigue, like my computer battery is definitely feeling that. And also usually like for us, we do our practice in our backyard. So it's just the environment is very different because usually you're at the field, but now you're doing like pitching workouts in like your little college backyard. And sometimes the Wi-Fi will kick out when you have your computer on the porch. So it's definitely like something to get used to, but it's still nice like seeing everybody and like the aspect of that and just like working together and like practicing and like still going for like the same goals.
Just to clarify that a little bit, a number of our sophomores, juniors, and seniors are living in their apartments in Westchester. Okay. So they are connected a little bit. The freshmen and some of the sophomores are at home. So sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, Bree, if you had something to say.
No, that sounds good. Yeah, it's been definitely different having to worry about your internet connection cutting out your practice, but it's been very good. We've been finding a variety of different fields across Westchester to go practice at with our roommates. So that's been fun, kind of getting to see all these different places that we don't normally see because normally we can just use our own field. But yeah, it's been good. We can also do a lot of like checklist type practices where we are given a list of things to do and then we can kind of go and do them on our own time or whenever we have like our partner or someone that can work with us as well, which has been really awesome.
Bree, if you could kind of touch on why you came back. You were one of the seniors last year that the NCAA has given another year to. Was that a difficult decision for you, or was it really just something that you had to come back anyhow? Just kind of walk us through your decision and how difficult a decision it was to come back.
Yeah, well, I was kind of fortunate enough to have already decided to do a 5th year of schooling. So I am pursuing an accounting degree, and over the summer, not this past summer, but the summer before that, I ended up deciding I wanted to pursue my CPA. And in order to become a certified public accountant, one of the many requirements are to have 150 credit hours, which basically equates to a normal full-time schedule for 5 years. So I decided to pick up a degree in finance to help me get those extra credits. And so I knew I was going to be on campus already. Obviously, I had other plans to be working, but I'm glad I was able to come back.
And so, you know, a career 396 hitter in your 4 years, you are already the school's all-time hits leader. You did that last spring. You know, what as a team leader, what are you trying to what message are you trying to get across to the team to keep them motivated for the spring season?
Garber now stands at 245 career hits, the most in program history.
Yeah, we've had a lot of positive messages sending out. Jen and I have been helping out a lot with that. We also have other people on like our leadership support teams that are always sending out positive messages. We do have a large squad, so only having 1 or 2 people to help motivate people would be too much, but everyone is very accountable, very hardworking, and it's been fun to kind of work out and make your current situation work.
Jen, if I could, switching gears a little bit to you as a pitcher on the team, when you get your workouts in, you said you're trying to throw. Do you actually have a chance to throw to actual live hitters standing in the box, or is it really just kind of throwing to a catcher or something else? Like, kind of go through some of those workouts that pitchers can work on.
Yeah, so for just like our team like pitching ones, so I'll set my computer up like in the backyard. We'll do like pitching drills. We have like everyday pitching drills where we just like kind of like work on your stride, leg strength, and like things like that and mechanics. And then twice a week for 2 hours, 1 hour each. I'm thankful to live with 2 catchers. So it's easy for me just to walk in the room and be like, let's go to the field and throw. But then we have a ladder that we do. So it goes like 10 pitches of a pitch, 9 pitches, so on to 1. And then we go back up to 10. So we do that once a week. So I work on my pitches and like my accuracy and like try to get a higher percentage and like keep working on that. So it's definitely nice to live with 2 catchers so that we can just throw whenever and like that stuff, but no batter. But we do situations where it'll be like left-hand hitter, you're jamming them on the inside, or left-hand hitter. So it's just everything else is pretty much the same as like being in person, except you don't have like the batters to deal with. But I was trying to get my roommates to stand in, but everyone's schedule is just so messy. So it's just once in a while we'll get out there sometime and have like a hitter just stand in and like look at pitches, because it benefits like them too for hitting.
So it's probably good you don't have to face Bree, right?
Yeah, thank God she's not my roommate.
Bree, switching back to you now. I have a 5-year-old daughter who really likes what she calls bat and ball. She doesn't really call it softball yet. So what are these drills I can give her? She's a lefty, a lot like you. What are some drills that Dad can work on with her to try to get her to learn how to slap and hit the ball? Because I don't think she's going to be a power hitter. But, if I can get some of that, what would be some advice you would give?
I would definitely tell her to stick to the left side. So I've had some friends who have switched from the left side to the right side or switched from the right side to the left side. I think it's a great place to be. She can have so many different weapons to use up at the plate. I feel like a lot of times if you're facing a lefty batter, then it's more thinking. You have to be like, oh, well, they could bunt, they could slap, like they could hit it to the outfield. So I would definitely encourage her to stick with that and try to get as many tools as she can. Slapping wise, honestly, just breaking it down and going through. When I practice slapping on like a couple tee drills, I'll start in my crossover. So just like a normal stance, and then take my foot over, have your toes pointed to the shortstop. I don't work on like chopping down on the ball, just because like it really messes up with your messes up the path of the ball, and you have to be perfectly on time. But really just think about locations. As she gets older, try to challenge her and just be like, okay, so you see how the defense is set up now? What would you do to beat this defense? And there's always an answer. So
Well, you have found quite a few answers being almost a career 400 hitter in college. Thanks for that advice. I will certainly
Thanks.
pass that along. She watches these. She might be the only one. I don't know. But Coach Loki, now your last game last year was against West Liberty, but it was at Seton Hill. A game went extra innings. But it was quite a hectic ninth inning. 17 runs were scored in that ninth inning. You fell down by 8 in the top half and somehow got 9 runs in the bottom half. What was your Newt Rockne speech to the team in between innings to spark that 9-run rally?
I actually got the text in the middle of that game that the NCAA had canceled championships. I did not tell anybody, but I don't know how it went through the team. So there was a lot of emotion in that game because we didn't play well to begin with, and I blame that on COVID because you could just see that their brains, something was going on. There's a lot going on outside of softball. And then just nothing was going right. And then in the bottom of that extra innings, they just put it all together. There were a lot of senior leadership in that. I think Bree had a home run and a double in that ninth inning. Was it 10th inning? I don't even remember. But it was just such an amazing game. And I still get chills when you said it earlier. I still get chills watching the video and just watching. The one thing that was also very difficult about that is that 2020 team was very special. Things were just starting to connect, and they were just starting. It was just so special, and they just knew it was coming to an end, and it was just a lot of emotion in that game.
Kind of talk about, you said you had gotten that text in the middle of the game. Talk a little bit about what was kind of going through your head, because you've got this comeback coming in the ninth inning. But at the same time, there's got to be a lot of emotions in your own mind as you kind of know that this might be the last game of the season.
Yeah, there was a lot of emotion going on, and you think about your seniors most, because we didn't know at that point if they had an extra year of eligibility, what was going to happen. And this was an NCAA decision. It wasn't the PSAC decision. So there was just a lot, and a lot of my concern was for the immediate seniors and what was going to happen because everything was being so special. So that was my general thoughts. And I was going to put Rachel Butler in the game, but instead I put Meg Kavanaugh in the game because I thought it was going to be her last game. And then and she didn't pitch well, so I ended up having to put Rachel in anyway. So there's just some things that I was doing because I knew that it potentially was their last game. But then for Bree to hit a home run and a double, did Emily hit a home run in that inning too? Emily hit a home run in that inning too. So which I think was Emily's last official at bat. Emily Massive is who I'm talking about. So that's some of the emotion that was going on.
So that was her kind of Ted Williams moment. Her last at bat was a home run.
We did play the next game, but we only got 4.5 innings in. So she did have some at bats after that, but that was, I think, her official last at bat.
Coach, if you could talk a little bit about from year to year. Now you've been to the College World Series in back-to-back seasons, and like you said, things were coming together. It was really looking like this was going to be a three-peat in the regionals for you and the super regionals. Talk a little bit about whether or not there's pressure to kind of get back to the Division II College World Series and how you handle that, or is it something that you don't try to talk about because every team every year is just a different group?
Every year is different because every group is different. And those 2020 girls, that whole group of 30 will never be together again. Uh, Pressure is perceived, but I definitely believe that the pressure is there. I mean, I personally put the pressure on for us to, our ultimate goal is just to make the playoffs, whether PSA first and then the second season, then we go from there. But yes, I definitely feel that there's a lot of pressure there and it's probably self-imposed. Try not to relate it to to the athletes because they have their own stuff going on. So just trying to like focus on having fun, but being serious about what we do and just trying to make it not as pressure, not as much pressure as is actually there.
Bree, if you could, you've been an integral part of those two teams that went to the College World Series. And now as a team leader, what is your message to the team to try to get them back to that? And how hard you have to work every year, knowing that every year you start back at ground zero and you have to work your way back to that super regional and that College World Series.
Yeah, honestly, I prefer to look at more short-term goals versus long-term goals. So we're starting up in September. It's kind of hard to think about, okay, in like 9 months from now, what could we potentially be doing? So I try to encourage people to focus on short-term goals and then be like, okay, this is really going to play off once we start playing our PSAC rivals or once we get into the tournament there. And then kind of once we go from there, then moving on to regionals and so forth. So I try to make it a point not to get ahead of yourself, but at the same time, having that end goal in the back of your mind can be really motivating for some people. So with a group of 30 some players, obviously everyone gets motivated differently. Everyone handles things differently. So it's all about figuring out the unique way to motivate each person and kind of make it fun in a sense to like work hard at practice and to make sure we're getting better and preparing best we can for the next season.
And Jen, from your point of view in pitching, coming on to this team, certainly joining a successful program, what sort of pressures did you feel, I guess, to try to make your mark and get inside the circle and get your turn pitching? So far in your career, you're 11-6 with a 2.69 ERA, so you're certainly on your way to an excellent college career. But how difficult was it, or how intimidating was it to try to get in that circle and get your innings in as well?
Yeah, so coming in high school, I guess my team was like very laid back, so I wasn't really pushed as like hard as I could have been. And definitely like coming into this program, I was pushed like beyond limits that I didn't know I had, and it definitely like turned me into like the person I am today. And it's definitely just like all about motivation, and I don't think like playing time is should be viewed as like a negative experience with other people. I think that, let's say like me coming in as a freshman with Amanda, and like I would always like look up to Amanda and like see how she did things and how I can embody that into myself to also like become a good pitcher. So I think it's more about like your teammates like motivating you to like be a better person, like not to like beat them out, but like to be better and just like for yourself. So I think that and like during this program every year I feel like every year I add like a new pitch on just to like add something to like what I can like give to the team. But and also like the team dynamic is very strong, so it was a big thing for me to like want to be better to help out the team and like just do anything that I can to be better to help the team and the greater good to like for everybody to be better. So I think it's all like a learning experience, and definitely like just trying your best and like giving your all just to become better every single day.
And is there a lot of camaraderie between you and the other pitchers on the team, and how do each of you try to push each other to be successful and to be as good as you can be?
Yeah, so we do with help of like the catchers too. The catchers are very great like motivators. Like if we miss a spot, they're honest with us and tell us what to do, and like let's say we're doing like a spot drill and we think that it was a strike, but they say no, like obviously there's some tension there, but all of us know that like we need to get better. So, okay, what can we do the next time to like, for them to say, okay, it's a good pitch. And like all of us, the pitchers are very close. Like we spend a lot of time together, sometimes too much, but we're like very close knit. And even I know like Riley would have problems with her pitches last year, and like we would help her out, give her tips for like her to improve. And like we're definitely all really close and like want each other to get better. And like we just, yeah, I guess.
And coach, talk about some of the things that you, as the leader of the program, try to implement, and not so much on the field but off the field too. What are some of the things that you think have been a big contributor to your success over really the last decade?
Goes back to some of the stuff that Jen said, like just trying to work on the culture. Then something that Bree said with, we don't really, we do set goals, but one thing that I've really driven into them the last few years is just to have one word to live by. And if you live by that word, it's pretty much going to show up in your academics and your life and in softball. Just being a well-rounded person, so involved in community service, working together for a greater cause than yourself. Dr. Daltrey has been very important in our program. She works with the athletes at least twice a month when we're on campus. She's meeting with them once a month now, and she's a licensed psychologist that works with our team. So she just helps with the stress, anxiety, all that, some of that stuff. We've also have another person that normally works with our team that works on personalities, conflict resolution. So it's not all on me. It comes from different professionals. Nutrition talks have been very popular. And we also have our fun girl, Katie, who is a Down syndrome young lady that comes to our practice every Monday. She's been coming virtually. And Katie is a good person to look at and be like, hey, my life is not too bad. That girl has had so many struggles in her life, but she still smiles every Monday at us and still has a blast. So when things are getting down, I always say Katie keeps it real for them. So that's just some of the off softball stuff that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have like our normal twin day and that kind of stuff. So
what is twin day? What is that?
it's always one of our fall practices, and we dress up as twins or triplets, depending.
Oh, okay.
And then we do different activities around softball, that kind of stuff. But try to incorporate, like I said earlier, be serious about, have fun along the way, but serious about our results. So
one thing I wanted you to go back and kind of expand on, you said you have a lot of other people that help, like Dr. Rachel Daltrey. Do you feel like it's important that the girls hear messages from other people than just yourself all the time? I guess every coach is different. Some are like, no, I want to be the one doing everything, and I want to be the one that's in control of everything. And some coaches are like, no, it's better to hear different messages from different people. Kind of, where do you, I guess, land on that scale?
absolutely. Our program would not be where it's at without the other resources that I've implemented throughout the years. We didn't have a full-time assistant until 4 years ago. So it was very important in my I was younger, I guess, in my early days to get other people involved. Before we had Packer, I got exercise science involved with our lifts. We've had nutrition involved. Dr. Daltrey came in around 2012, I believe. We've had other individuals that are working on their psychology degree in the graduate program work with our players. So I just think I'm only one person and I can't be everywhere. Now that we have Coach Lara Ottenberger, that's been a huge help for large team that I would have never survived without implementing the resources. And then since I've gotten Coach Lama, I've just kept going with the same philosophy.
You're not used to calling her Laura, right?
Now,
That's why you always say Laura Lam.
and what's funny, I was telling her this morning that I'll say llama, and on my Facebook feed, my phone listens. Now I get llama things on my phone, in my Facebook feed.
Kind of sticking with people like Lama who have come back. How much do you allow the alumni to get involved, and do you credit some of your success recently to what those alumni started years ago?
Yes, absolutely. My first recruiting class is the 2008 graduates, and they've been a big part of my life. They still are. We've had alumni, so I've always been involved in their lives. Recently we've had, for virtual, we've had some alumni coming and popping in, on Zooms, which has been very beneficial. Jen's been involved with one.
So I know the alumni have been working with the catchers a lot. They've had 2 so far, and that's been like Heidi and Kat. So for the pitchers, we just had Duels come, and she's a coach at U Sciences, and they just kind of during our pitcher one, we just kind of had a Q&A and like talked about pitches and like what works and like what just they gave us advice. And I know like for the catchers too, when I would hear into they just give like knowledgeable advice for like stuff and like just I guess virtual teaching to say.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
One thing that I wanted to say too is that a couple years ago, we watched something from Coach Gino at Connecticut. And one of his sayings he says is, you play for those before you and beside you. So that really hit home with me personally, to really try to get the alumni connected more, because there's a lot that happened before us, and the current players do not know that. And then we always play for the ones beside us. That's a given. But a lot of our athletes don't realize that we used to only win 4 games a year or 8 games. So it was important to me to get that connection, to understand like where we've come.
Even for me, Coach, now I've been here 13 years, which certainly, I mean, you've been here longer than I have, but the days of Katie Kreider and Jamie McComb seem like they were just so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they played such an important role in turning this program around. And I mean, certainly you did too, as the head coach, not taking anything away from what you've done, but bringing in those recruiting classes. I think that they usually do play a very big role, and it's good to hear that you try to get some of those alums involved whenever you can. So turning the conversation a little bit to Bree. So Bree, what, how have the alums in their messages helped you in your time over the 4 years, and what are some of those messages you think you will give to try to pass on to the next generation of Westchester Golden Ram softball players?
Yeah, well, I've been very fortunate to play with a lot of very talented alumni, not just softball skill-wise, but also in leadership roles and being great examples and people to look up to. So I remember my freshman year specifically, we had a great group of seniors, talented, but at the same time, they made every single workout fun. So no matter if you were getting up, like walking into the school building at like 5:45 in the morning, about to do a pyramid gasser or run a run test, they always made it fun. They always made it encouraging. They made it into a positive experience. And so that's always something that I look to implement now, even going forward. I took a lot of pride in the way that I came into the program and it seemed like such a tight-knit group. Everyone played for each other. Like no one was more excited than the people who were not on the field. Or so like say Wally made a diving catch in center, for example, then no one was more excited than the rest of the team for her. It was all about everyone else's success, which is what I think helped make us very successful and have these past 4 years. I think that's really carried over.
Yeah, I think Amanda Houck still owes Wally a dinner, right, for robbing the home run in the in regionals.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
um, so Jen, how about you? What are some of the things now that you're one of the team leaders as a captain? What are some of the lessons you've learned from alumni that you'll pass on?
Yeah, I think it's definitely more just you're doing everything for like the greater good of your team. So like how hard you work every day is gonna help out your teammates. It's definitely all about we and not I or me, the typical saying, but it definitely you really understand that sentence when you're playing at Westchester and just like being involved with your team because it is a team sport and it's not all about yourself. So just everything you do every day is like for your teammates, and like your teammates turn into family. So just like on field and off the field, just be there for each other and like be a support, because if you're there supporting each other, like good things will happen out of that.
Yeah, and that support has even continued once people have graduated. So I've had alumni who've reached out to me just checking in, asking like how everything's going, if I'm doing okay, if I need any help. Um, and then I've reached out to them numerous times. I feel like asking for different advice or what they would do in this situation, things like that. So they've always been really receptive, always thinking about the team, putting the team first. And that's the culture that I feel like I came into the program with. And that's something I'm hoping to leave behind as well.
All right, now, Coach Loki, one question that I asked our women's lacrosse coach, Ginny Martino, I will ask you as well. If you could go back in time and give yourself some advice starting out in this profession, what would that advice be and why?
Um, I think that looking back, um, I mean, the athletes might disagree, but I feel like I was so much more regiment 15 years ago. And if they think I am now, then they really, like they would, I've really relaxed on that a lot. Um, I, I really try to understand more now about like doing something with your family, that kind of stuff, where before I would have been like, nope, you can't do it. So basically, if I go back 15 years ago, like just listening more to maybe something, um, but yeah, I think that's the one thing.
So are there things you take from people that you've played for when you were younger, growing up? I mean, you played field hockey for a legendary coach at Lock Haven. Was there anything, from those types of people that were significant people in the coaching field that you kind of still take bits and pieces from?
I think that as we grow, like as you're growing up and you're learning, I feel like you have to listen to like everybody's philosophy and then sort of put it into your own.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when I was growing up, I was very influenced by Joe Paterno and Penn State football and how everything had to be the same, that kind of stuff. Definitely ST yelling in my ear. Yep,
You
got
can
that
still
part
hear today.
down.
You can still hear.
Yeah, I would say that some athletes today would never be able to um, play under ST, but she helped me a lot. And I think that a lot of athletes don't understand it till they're older, and that they're thankful for the regiment, the discipline, because it really does help. I also feel that with every athlete that passes through, that I take a little bit of them with me and what I could have learned from them. And I mean, I still do that to this day, like just a lot of reflection. And so I feel like every athlete touches me in some way, and whether it's positive or negatively, just like it just helps, you to continue to grow.
All right, ladies, I think we'll leave it there. I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your busy schedules and your mornings. I know Bree had a class this morning. I'm glad you could fit me in because I enjoy these things and I enjoy keeping up with the coaches and the players, even though I got to do it virtually as well. So thanks a lot to all three of you, Diane Loki, Bree Garber, and Jen Hanshaw. I really do appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
And that will do it for this episode of WCU Athletics Chalk Talk. Join us next time for another episode.
We'll be right back.
All right.